We're sitting outside of Here, that's Here, not here, but Here, the theater in Hudson Square Park, just about to speak with the co-star and co-composer, and the musical director of the Christine Jorgensen Story, a revival of the story of the first known transgender person in America back in the 50s. And it is Mark Nadler. We are looking at Mark Nadler. we have not seen Mark Nadler on our show since I'm a Stranger Here myself. So here you go.
All right. Well, welcome, Mark.
It's great to be here.
And what inspired you to do this show?
I was asked. It was actually, I didn't write it. A man named Donald Stephen Olson wrote the play. It's a two-character play. And he actually wrote the part with me in mind. And when he told me that, I mean, you don't turn that down.
Right.
And because it was written for me, he wrote it so that I get to do all of the things I do. So in this play, I act, of course, but I play the piano, I sing, I tap dance, I do all of the things all of my skills. And I haven't had a part that utilizes all of my skills.
What's left for Christine to do?
Well, first of all, you obviously are not playing Christine.
I am not playing Christine Jorgensen. I wanted to, but she didn't tap dance, so they gave me another part.
So who are you in the play?
Well, do you know who Christine Jorgensen was?
Well, yes, as Leslie just said, she was the first known trans person.
Right.
Nightclub performer.
First trans celebrity. So in 1953, Christine Jorgensen came back from Denmark as a woman. She went to Denmark. The New York Daily News headline was, "XGI comes back as beautiful blonde." And overnight, she was the most famous person in the world for what she had done in 1953. And she couldn't get a job. So a manager signed her and convinced her to put together a nightclub act so that the manager could cash in on her celebrity. And he hired this down and out alcoholic song and dance man to teach her how to sing and dance and help her put together a nightclub act and to co-star in the act with her because she couldn't sing, she couldn't dance, and so they needed something on stage that was going to entertain the people other than just the
novelty.
Novelty, yeah, exactly. And so I play that guy.
I'm assuming the alcoholic part was not part of the typecasting for you.
Well, then you assume wrong.
Oh, okay. Well,
Stop beating your wife. Yes, that's that kind of question. But Mark, we haven't seen you for a while. What were you doing between this? I mean, I know you work with KT Sullivan and.
I haven't worked with KT in a long time, actually, Leslie. KT was my co-star at the Algonquin. We did 6 shows together at the Algonquin. We were regulars there, and then when the Algonquin closed in 2010, I started doing my own thing a lot, and that's when I did I'm a Stranger Here myself in 2012.
Which we loved. We had you on for that.
Thank you. And yeah, that was nominated for Drama Desk and won all sorts of awards. And I did that show a lot internationally.
Oh, wow.
And even was nominated for the equivalent of the Tony Award in Australia called the Helpman Award for that show. The Jewish songwriters were being imprisoned or exiled. The American Jewish songwriters were glorified. That's Dietz and Schwartz. Howard Dietz not only wrote these songs that were being sung around the world, Howard Dietz also was a publicist for MGM. Howard Dietz created this. He created that. Well, somebody had to have created it. It was Howard Dietz. There's a show I do in France that it's about a woman named Gaby Delis, who was the first international megastar, and nobody knows who she is anymore. The Winter Garden was created for her. And we just did that show in Paris last year, and I was nominated for the Parisian Tony Award. It's called the Trophée de théâtre musical.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. How did they refer to a trans person? I'm assuming they didn't use the term trans back in the 50s.
You know, that's a really good question, and I'm sure they didn't use the word trans. And I don't know how they, or even if they referred to it. I mean, what they said was she had, they didn't call it gender reassignment surgery. They said she had a sex change. That's how they talked about it. And of course, the whole point, which this play explains so beautifully and so gently, is that no, it's not a sex change, because the whole point is that she was always a woman. She was never a boy. She was never a man. It's just she had boy body parts. And as my co-star Jesse James Keitel, who is an extraordinary trans actor and very well known. Jesse has done Star Trek and Queer as Folk and a show called Big Sky. Anyway, Jesse explained to me that it's not about who you sleep with. It's about who you sleep as. And that just made it make perfect sense for me. And that's what our show does, I think, so well, is it makes it very gently, makes it make sense. My character, Miles, at the beginning of the play, I think of him as a singing, dancing Archie Bunker. He's a guy in 1953. What does he know? And by the end of the play, she has gently opened his heart, and he understands who and what she is and honors her and values her for that. And that's the beauty of the play. He opens her voice, she opens his heart.
Wow. Mark, it's so amazing to me, and you may not have the answer to this one either, that between 1953 and whenever we all began to hear the word transgender, there were no people having this kind of sex change operation, which is what they were calling
reassignment surgery. Of course,
yes.
there were. There were lots and lots and lots and lots of them. I knew plenty of them, but they weren't famous.
Ah, I see.
You know, and even
right.
there are some very, very famous transgender people from the 90s, from the 2000s,
Yes. Okay.
plenty. But I mean, Christine was performing in the New York City nightclubs right up into the 80s. There's a wonderful, if you want to Google it, there's a wonderful interview that she did in the late 70s with Tom Snyder when she was playing at Freddy's. Do you remember Freddy's?
Sure, I remember Freddy's.
And she sings Falling in Love Again, of course, Marlene Dietrich, and she talks to Tom Snyder very frankly about the whole thing, which she always did. That was one of the things that was so extraordinary about this woman. She lectured in the universities. She worked with Dr. Kinsey on the Kinsey Report. She was a very important figure in the evolution of in our evolution of understanding the trans community.
What I find very interesting is you say, here you have this talented, famous for being famous person, so what do they give her a nightclub act? Which, to me, says things really haven't changed. I think maybe today they give her a reality show.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, you know, this is in the 50s when the Vegas clubs were the place. I mean, you were making buckets of money with nightclub acts at that time. And so, yeah, that was a perfect way to cash in on her celebrity. Television was barely a baby at that point, so nightclubs was the way to go.
And television probably wasn't ready for her in 53.
Well, in fact, the real Christine Jorgensen was banned from television. She was absolutely banned from television.
What's coming up for you?
This play.
Okay.
I'm telling you, this is all I'm doing. It's a big off-Broadway run. We did it earlier in the year at 59 East 59th, and it was so successful there, we've moved it to a bigger theater. We're at the Here Arts Center. I just want to hold up my little postcard one more time, because it's called the Christine Jorgensen Show. Here, I keep that. Christine Jorgensen Show. Can you get it?
We'll have pictures and
Oh, great.
photographs.
And there it is.
Okay.
And we're at the Here Arts Center, which is on 6th Avenue, 3 blocks south of Houston Street, and the entrance is on Dominic Street. And I happen to love that because my husband's name is Dominic.
Ah, well, there you go. We thank you so much for being with us tonight. And now the lights go on. We've been doing this in the dark, and now the lights go on.
Dancing in the dark till the show ends. We're dancing in the dark till the glow ends.
That is worth everything, seeing the two of you dance. Okay. On that note, we hope to see you again. I hope that is there a possibility?
Sid Charisse, eat your heart out.
Yes. Is there a possibility of getting this thing extended?
There's a possibility.
Or moved,
Let's all buy tickets.
Yes,
We're running
all.
right now through November 17th, 8 times a week. And if it's enough of a success, you bet it'll be extended.
Good. Okay. Lovely to see you again.
I'm so happy to see you.
So
I'm
happy
so
to
happy
see
to
you.
dance with you.
My pleasure.
The Jewish songwriters were being imprisoned or exiled. The American Jewish songwriters were glorified. That's Dietz and Schwartz. Howard Dietz not only wrote these songs that were being sung around the world, Howard Dietz also was a publicist for MGM. Howard Dietz created this. He created that. Well, somebody had to have created it. It was Howard Dietz.